My affair partner found my husband's second phone. He called me at 11:47 on a Wednesday night. His voice was barely above a whisper. I found something in your husband's car. What? A phone. I laughed nervously. So? Sarah, it's not his normal phone. I stopped breathing. What do you mean? I mean, your husband has a second phone. My name is Sarah. My husband's name is Daniel. And the man I had been secretly seeing was Ryan. For almost a year, Ryan and I had been convinced that we were the ones keeping secrets. We weren't. Daniel and I had been married for 10 years. Our marriage wasn't terrible. That was the problem. There was no dramatic reason for me to leave. No abuse, no betrayal, no huge fights. Just routine. I started feeling like my life had become predictable. Daniel worked. I worked. We ate dinner. We watched television. We went to bed. Then we did it again. I told myself I deserved more. More excitement, more attention, more passion. Then Ryan came along. He was everything Daniel wasn't. He was spontaneous, outgoing, flirtatious. He'd send me messages during the day telling me how beautiful I looked. He made me feel interesting again. The first time we kissed, I knew I was betraying Daniel. I did it anyway. The affair lasted almost a year. Ryan and I became careful. We used separate messaging apps. We deleted conversations. We met at hotels outside town. We used fake names when making reservations. I thought we were incredibly clever. Then Ryan called me one night. I found something. What? Your husband's second phone. I sat up in bed. Where? In his car. How did you get into his car? He left it unlocked. I was angry. You went through his car? I wasn't looking for anything. Then why were you looking? Ryan hesitated. Because I saw him talking on it. What did he say? I don't know. Then what makes you think it's a secret phone? Because he hid it. I didn't know what to say. Ryan sent me a photograph. It was a small black phone sitting inside the center console of Daniel's car. I stared at it. That's definitely not his normal phone. I know. Maybe it's for work. Maybe. Then Ryan said, I checked the call history. My stomach tightened. Why? Because I was curious. What did you find? Your number. I froze. What? Your number was saved. I couldn't breathe. What name? Ryan was silent. Sarah. My heart stopped. You're lying. I'm not. How many times? Dozens. I stared at my phone. Ryan continued. But that's not the weird part. What is? The phone has messages. From who? I don't know. Then why are you calling me? Because I think you should see them. I told him not to touch the phone again. He ignored me. The next morning, Ryan met me in a parking lot. He handed me a photograph. It showed the second phone. The screen was open. There was a message. She's getting suspicious. My hands started shaking. Who sent that? I don't know. I looked at the time. The message had been sent 3 days earlier. I looked at Ryan. Maybe Daniel is cheating. Ryan shook his head. No. How do you know? Because there are messages about you. I stared at him. What kind of messages? Ryan handed me another photograph. It said, don't tell her yet. I felt sick. Who is he talking to? Ryan shook his head. I don't know. I suddenly wanted to know everything. That night, while Daniel slept, I searched his office. I found nothing. The next day, I followed him. I felt ridiculous, but I needed answers. Daniel drove to a small cafe across town. He parked. A woman was waiting for him. My heart dropped. I watched them through the window. They talked for nearly an hour. Then Daniel handed her an envelope. She started crying. I thought I had finally found proof. Daniel was having an affair. I drove home furious. But then I remembered something. The second phone. And my name on it. That night, I confronted him. Do you have another phone? Daniel froze. What? A second phone. He stared at me. Why would you ask me that? Just answer. He looked away. Yes. My heart dropped. Why? He didn't answer. Who have you been talking to? He looked at me. You. I stared at him. What? Mostly you. Why would you need another phone to talk to me? Daniel sat down. Because I didn't want you to know I was watching. My stomach turned. Watching what? He looked at me. Your affair. Everything went silent. What? Daniel pulled the second phone from his pocket. He placed it on the table. I've known about Ryan for 6 months. I couldn't breathe. You knew? Yes. How? I saw your messages. Then why didn't you confront me? Daniel looked exhausted. Because I wanted to understand why. I started crying. You knew all this time? He nodded. Why were you texting someone about me? Daniel looked down. Because I wasn't the only one who knew. I froze. What does that mean? He opened the phone. There were messages with a name I recognized. My mother. I stared at the screen. Why are you talking to my mother? Daniel took a breath. Because she asked me to. I didn't understand. Asked you to do what? Protect you. I stared at him. From what? Daniel opened the messages. My mother had been worried about me for months. She knew I was unhappy. She knew I had been talking about leaving Daniel. And she had discovered the affair before Daniel did. She had contacted Daniel, not to expose me, to ask him to help me. My mother had written, "She doesn't know how lost she is. Please don't give up on her yet." I started crying. Daniel had been talking to my mother for months. Not about revenge, about me. Then I remembered the woman at the cafe. Who was she? Daniel looked at me. Your mother's lawyer. What? Your mother was trying to make sure your inheritance was protected. I didn't understand, Daniel explained. My father had left me a small investment account. My mother had discovered that someone had been trying to access it. Daniel had been helping her protect it. The woman I'd seen wasn't his lover. She was the attorney handling the situation. The second phone wasn't for another woman. It was for a completely different reason. But there was still one thing I couldn't understand. Why did you save my number? Daniel looked at the phone. Because I wanted to hear your voice. I started crying. Even after you knew? He nodded. Even after everything. Then he said something that broke me. I kept the second phone because I couldn't bring myself to delete the messages. Every time you told me you loved me, I wanted to believe you. I couldn't look at him. Then Daniel asked, "Did you love him?" I whispered, "I don't know." He nodded. That's what I was afraid of. The next day, Ryan came to see me. He apologized. I shouldn't have gone through the phone. No. He looked ashamed. I thought your husband was cheating. I know. I thought we'd found proof. I shook my head. We found something else. Ryan looked at me. What? The truth. He nodded. Then he asked, "Are you going to leave Daniel?" I didn't answer. Because for the first time, I didn't know. Not because I was choosing between two men, because I was finally realizing I needed to choose who I wanted to be. Ryan and I ended the affair. Daniel and I separated. There was no immediate forgiveness. There shouldn't have been. I spent months trying to understand how I'd gotten there. I had blamed Daniel for becoming predictable. But the truth was, I had become uncomfortable with anything that required patience. I wanted excitement. I wanted attention. I wanted someone to make me feel special. And when Daniel couldn't constantly provide those feelings, I went looking somewhere else. Eventually, Daniel and I started talking again. Slowly. We went to counseling. We talked about everything we'd avoided. He admitted he had become distant. I admitted I'd stopped communicating before I betrayed him. Neither of us excused what happened, but we understood it. A year later, we decided to try again. Not because the affair hadn't mattered, because we finally understood that pretending it hadn't happened would only create another secret. I still think about that second phone. For months, I thought it was proof that Daniel had a secret life. In a strange way, it was. But his secret life wasn't what I imagined. He had been secretly protecting me, secretly talking to my mother, secretly trying to understand why I'd changed, secretly hoping there was still something worth saving. Meanwhile, I had been secretly destroying the marriage he was trying to protect. My affair partner found my husband's second phone. He thought he'd uncovered another affair. Instead, he uncovered the one thing I had spent months refusing to see. My husband knew. He knew I was lying. He knew I was cheating. And he still hoped I would eventually tell him the truth. The second phone wasn't the biggest secret in our marriage. The biggest secret was how much Daniel still cared, even after I had given him every reason not to. And sometimes, the person you think is hiding something from you is actually the person quietly holding your life together.